We'll be giving each team player ratings. I have with me, as usual, my co-hosts, Mr. Abrar Aziz and Mr. Zohair Khan. First, I'll go with Zoh. How are you doing, man?
Bro, I'm happy to see Don today.
That's the reason I asked you first.
I'm
But
happy to see. I'm happy to see Don every day, but I'm especially happy to see him today.
Don, how are you doing, man?
Man, it's just one of those unfortunate situations where I have to be stuck with you two for this ratings after a loss. Usually not the best for me.
It was funny that, the biggest game of the week was United Chelsea, and we were predicting we're gonna do those player
Yeah.
ratings. But that the Vardy party, man, was more interesting. It was a lot more fun. So I said, let's do this.
It was a lot more fun, not so much for me, but just in general as a game because you guys were so boring. What was going on in that game?
Bro,
Both of-
defensive tactical masterclass. Get out of here. You wish
Yeah.
you could do but no, I gotta say, man, honestly, like having watched the Leicester Arsenal game, I don't know how you guys didn't win. You guys are trash going forward, man.
Yeah.
Terrible finishing. Terrible.
Yeah,
And so,
I'm going to be critical towards my forward players today. So
yeah,
You should be.
and so they left it too late. They should have at least got a couple of goals before Vardy came, right? I mean, that was the game changer for sure for
Man,
Leicester.
just the opportunities that Arsenal was creating. They had Leicester pinned back the entire first half, starting the second, same thing. And I was just really surprised that they weren't able to put one in the back of the net. I really thought that the final ball was poor, was really poor from Arsenal. Look at all the talent that they fielded. You have Oba, you have Saka, you have sure, some people might disagree about Laka being talented, but he is still, the French Darren Bent. But yeah, I mean, come on, you have all that firepower, plus
Yeah.
you have Bellerin and you have Tierney coming up as wingbacks. Come on, man, you got to put the ball away. You're creating chances. You're giving Leicester's defense fits, but there's no final ball, and they paid for it at the end. Vardy came on, and it was like a 1-2 punch knockout sort of thing. But they hit them real quick, real hard, and that's it. Arsenal didn't have anything for them.
Yeah, and the VAR goal, do you think that should have stood or it was rightly overturned? The Lacazette
Rightly
one?
overturned. Rightly overturned. My man
think
standing
that-
in front of Schmeichel, bro. Get out of here. That
Don, your
isn't
thoughts on
impediment. I don't
that?
know what it is.
I don't know, man. I thought it was a little bit of a soft decision. I mean, everyone stands in front of the goalkeeper. Which team doesn't have a player standing in front of the goalkeeper? I think that's. I mean, if anyone else touched it, I would have understood, but no one touched it. It went off of Lacazette's head straight up. So, in my opinion, I don't think that he came in the way completely. I get why Zo or anyone else also for that matter is saying that it was overturned. I thought it was a little bit of a soft decision. I thought it should have stood.
Yeah, I think Don will get cracking with the player ratings. We'll start with Arsenal, so we'll start with you first. In goal, Leno, your thoughts on his performance and his rating?
He couldn't have been anything. He couldn't have done anything for that goal. I mean, it was like a proper finish by Vardy. He couldn't have stopped that. He looked a little shaky coming into
Yeah,
this
he was a
game.
bit wobbly.
Yeah, he's just a little bit wobbly because of that mistake that he made against Man City, and because of nowadays when goalkeepers make mistakes, there's so much scrutiny and there's so much issues on that front. It just makes it hard for players to kind of come out of that because there's so much social media attention. There's so much talk about how like you've seen it with Kepa, you've seen it in previously with David De Gea. There's been some mistakes, and it just gets so much scrutiny. It just makes it difficult. So I guess he was just going through with some of those nerves. But I think he did okay. I think he couldn't have been faulted at all for the goal, and whatever little Leicester created, I think he did okay with that on that front. He got caught out a little bit a couple of times even when Madison tried to run him over to just try to go over his head, but he did okay. I thought. I think I'll give him a 6 on 10.
6 for Leno. And so I don't ask Don this because I know his answer. Do you think they're regretting letting Martinez go?
I mean, absolutely. Look at where Villa is. Look at where Arsenal is. I think it's the Martinez effect. That's all we can say, right?
Yeah, good points there. And then Don, moving on to the defense, Bellerin.
Bellerin, I think he was. I'll be very honest. I think he was lucky to be on the pitch. I think he had to. He should have gotten that second yellow card for that challenge. I think that was. I'm going to be totally fair. I think he should have been. But I think his overlapping play in the attacking front was very, very good. I thought he did a pretty good job over there. But he was lucky to be on the thing. So I'm going to shave off a point for that. I'm going to give him a 6 on 10.
Ooh, 6 on 10. I mean. Yeah,
I'm being very critical of his performance because he could have very easily brought us down to 10 men, and that was a rash challenge, and he should be more careful.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, Bellerin looked really good going forward. The number of times he skinned Justin, Justin, he was giving him he was giving him fits. But again, no end product, unfortunately, to reward any of
And
that
that's
play.
that's exactly why I'm shaving off a point for that and the point for like that rash challenge. So that's why I'm being critical. I'm going to be critical of my Arsenal players today. I think that they should have gone out and won the game and they did not. So it's just one of those games.
Yeah, and moving on to David Luiz, it looked like he was doing the long range passing. Your thoughts on his performance?
I thought David Luiz was immensely impressive this season. I think this game, I think those long passes were very good. Defensively, he was solid as well. Unfortunately, got injured, and I think that was one of the reasons we let that extra goal go in, because it was Mustafi's mistake for let that goal go in as well. So I think that I'll give him a 7 and 10. I think he did a pretty good job.
7 for David Luiz, and Gabriel is looking good as well, looking solid
Yeah,
in defense.
I think that partnership with him Tierney and Gabriel Tierney and Luis is looking solid. I think the structure of this Arsenal team looks so good. It's just it looks very difficult to score against them because they're structurally very well done, very well rounded. They know what they need to do. Everyone's kind of helping each other out, and it looked very very solid. And so I'm going to continue. I think there was nothing at all that was wrong with the defense except for that one mistake that we made which led to the Vardy goal. It shouldn't have happened, yes, but I think apart from that, I think it was very solid performance by Gabriel as well, as 7 or 10 for him as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you Tierney next, but I think I'll ask you Chaka because he was playing at the back.
No, it was 3 at the back, and then it's kind of like they kind of moved it around a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
it was weird. I don't know where Chaka was playing, but yeah, okay, I'll go. We can go with Tierney then.
Yeah, I think Tierney was my player of the match. I think he had a very very impressive run, and he kept continuously moving up front as well. Like he was attacking wise also, he was a little bit of a threat. He was defending well, he was attacking well. I think he had a very very good game. I think he was my man of the match for in terms of just Arsenal, so I'm going to give him an 8.5.
8.5 for Tierney. Him and Bellerin, they look good. If they can continue that throughout the season, it'll benefit Arsenal for sure. Yep. And then moving on to Chaka.
Yeah, I think Saka was also good. I think he was also looking menacing. He had a couple of really good touches where he should have done better with the final product. I think that is one thing that is lacking in his game, and I think he's very young. I think he'll improve. I think if we have a baller on our hands, he had a pretty good game. I think I'll give him a 7.5.
7.5 for Saka, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, for Saka. Yeah, and then Granit Xhaka.
Granit Xhaka was good as well. I mean, he the hard work is there. He's there and thereabout in the midfield. He does a pretty decent job for this team. There is a lack in that midfield that I'm expecting Thomas Partey to grow into this and really provide in that midfield, that steal. But I think Xhaka did what was expected of him. I'll give him a 6.5.
6.5 for Granit Xhaka with the X, and then going to the Thomas. But no, I'll go with Ceballos first.
Ceballos poor, man. Ceballos poor this game. Arsenal is depending on him to create that bring that creative guile in this team. He wasn't able to join the midfield with the attack. I think his passing was poor. I think he really never had like a pass that you remember in all of the game. I mean, if you watch the game again a few times, maybe there were a couple of chances, yes, but I think he could have done a lot more. He kept moving to the. I don't know if it was a genuine plan that Arteta asked him, but he kept moving to the left. I didn't understand that about him too much. I think he should have been a little bit more centrally trying to create those chances and try to create those spaces for Oba and Laka. It didn't happen today, so I'm going to give him a 5.
A 5 for.
Ouch, man! I was just about to say that Ceballos is my favorite player on the Arsenal team.
He is very good. I think it was just a poor game from him yesterday. I think he just maybe coming back from injury, he was a little bit jaded as well. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think he was relatively poor in the game. I think I expected a lot more from him in the creative end.
Yeah, and now moving on to Thomas Partey. So if you remember last week, Don said that I asked him about if Vardy's going to have a party at the Emirates, and he said something along the lines that no, Thomas Partey's going to stop it or something like that. Do you just remember those words?
Oh, I remember that, and the other thing that I remember is, of course, that he said that if I predict against Arsenal, it'll cause Arsenal to win. So I don't know, man. It looks like, you might be the one who's got it twisted, my friend.
Yeah. Now
let's fight that one.
Thomas Partey, Don, your thoughts on his performance?
I think there's massive potential, no doubt about that, about the player. I think he hasn't really trained with the team a lot. I need him to really gel with the team. It takes a little bit time. It's a new league. It's a completely new a league for him, and he's all new players around him as well, and he's just had a week of training. He's really not trained much with this team, so I'm going to give him some time. I think it was poorer performance in general. I thought I expected a little bit more from him because of the name tag that he was bringing, the price tag he was bringing with him, and the good stuff that I've heard and seen a little bit of with him in Atletico as well. It was just one of those games where he just felt like he wasn't there completely. He was just lacking a little bit of an understanding with his players a little bit. I'm being a little critical of him. I think he did a decent job, but I think I expected a little bit more from him, and that's why I'm just going to give him a 6 on 10.
6 on 10. And I don't know what you guys think, but maybe a creative player like Ozil would help someone like Party, because Party looks solid. Like, yes, he wasn't as dynamic in the game, but like he did look solid. So like your thoughts on that? Like maybe if he has somebody creative with him, he'd shine more.
I think that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say, like, when Xhaka and Partey are playing side by side, it just feels like a
more
little bit
dull.
lackluster. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a little bit more lackluster. I think that he needs a little bit more of a creativity. I would love to see. There's a lot of issues with the Ozil. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see Ozil in an Arsenal t-shirt again. Although the likes of Partey playing with Ceballos in the midfield and Ozil in front of them would be beautiful to see, but I just don't see that happening because Ozil is there's I don't know what's going on with that. It's
Donnie,
just
I have a
unfortunate.
question for you.
Yeah.
How much is Ozil paying you to make these statements about him every week? That Ozil is the missing link. Ozil is what we need. Ozil with Ceballos and Party. How much is he paying you, bro? How much?
Bro, I love Ozil, man. I mean, in 2013, when he signed him on deadline day, I went mental. Like I went batshit crazy.
You still
That's
haven't
how
recovered.
crazy. I haven't recovered still. Seriously, I really haven't. I mean, I'm finding it so hard that we have that kind of a player with that kind of caliber, and we're not able to inculcate him. I don't think it's only footballing reasons, and that's just my opinion. There's a lot of other things that are happening. As it's not probably the right place to bring that up, but I want to see how Emil Smith Rowe probably gets a chance of. He's still a very young player, but I think he has a lot of creative talent. I'd love to see Partey join with Ceballos in the midfield and then have like Emil Smith Rowe in the front if we can't bring in Ozil, and I think that will really make Partey flourish as well. I'm just waiting for something like that to maybe come through. Just there is talent in this team. There is that capability. It was just an off day, I think, in terms of that creative aspect. It's been an issue for the past 2-3 games. There's a lot that needs to be done on that front. Yeah. But
bro, Arteta's
I think he'll figure it out.
Arteta's just Pulis with the more hair and a better wardrobe.
Oh my God, yeah.
Tony Pulis. And moving on, Don, to the man who probably missed Ozil the most, like missed the creativity, Aubameyang. He looked isolated. What are your thoughts on his performance?
Trash.
It's
Yang.
It's been 5 games since he scored, man. It's a drought for him by his very very high standards. He's been poor these past few game weeks.
Is the service as well, or you just feel he should have done better?
It's a bit of both. I think the service is definitely lacking. There's no doubt about that. But I think he also in the beginning of the game we saw him like go and pop a pill or something. I think he wasn't completely feeling well because it wasn't like a vitamin pill. He actually had to like gulp it down with water or something. So,
wow.
So maybe it was because he was sick or something, but it genuinely happened. So maybe he was a little bit maybe there was something going on. He was not completely 100%, but by his very very high standards, this is probably the longest streak that he has had without scoring a goal. So it's kind of a bit of a drought. He is lacking service, but I expect more from him because I think he's a truly world-class player. It doesn't matter what you guys think about him, but because that is what you guys think about him is trash. He's awesome.
Listen. I agree. He's a world-class player on a Sunday league team.
Don, do you think he performs better when the stakes are higher?
I think he performs irrespective. This has been like his first 5. It's just like the amount of, because I think he's brought up that kind of high expectations from him.
There was a goal he missed in the Europa League as well last year.
Yeah,
like
that was an unfortunate one. He'll give you one of those every now and again. He'll give you those moments, but he is. I mean,
once he clicks, then it's done. Like he'll get you. He'll be in the top 3 goal scorers every season.
Absolutely, and I think he'll still be in the top 3. I think even this season. I don't think it's just a matter of like getting a couple of things, fine tuning some things. I'm not too worried about the way we performed. Yes, we lost, but I think that we're okay for the season. I still think that we have a good chance. Shout out for the season. But in terms of yesterday, yes, he lacked that zip. He lacked that zeal. Unfortunate. I'm going to be a little critical because it didn't finish. I'm going to give him a 5.
A 5 for Aubameyang. I agree with you. I think he is world class. Just had an off day. But the guy I'm going to talk about next, I think he's French Darren Bent. Man, I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. He's not finishing his chances. I don't know. Like this, he has. Don't get me wrong. He has talent and everything, but he's just not finishing his chances. He misses a lot of chances. Man,
And you
reminds
know
me.
what? You know what? I couldn't believe that header that Fuchs cleared with his foot, but
Yeah.
like, but he didn't even get near it. I'm like, how, bro? How do you miss that? You're right there, just a little bit further.
So did you remember me when you missed that?
Oh man, I thought of you right away. He's not even the French Darren Bent, bro. I just read this thing. He's French Daryl the Barrel, bro. That's who it is.
Yeah, I mean, Don, like we might have to eat our words if he scores against United next week, but
I so hope he does, because then I'm gonna give him a 10 irrespective of the performance.
Yeah, but for now, like for this game,
but for right now, I think he was very, very poor. I mean, it was that the chance that Zoe spoke about, and a couple others that he should have really clicked. I mean, usually I even if he doesn't score, I usually like his performances because he's usually a little bit more. He brings defenders towards him. He creates more chances for the wingers. Aubameyang scores when he pulls defenders towards him, but I think he just lacked almost everything in that game. He just wasn't there. I just thought he was a very poor game for him. Give him a 4. I think he was very bad.
for like I said, do you think Aubameyang should play in his position?
So I think the way they set up in yesterday's game, I thought it was a good game because they were kind of changing it up. He was Aubameyang is playing in the middle as well a little bit. So I think I think a 3-5-2 makes a lot of sense for this team. I think there's good. I think that once they start figuring it out a little bit more, I think if they fine tune it and if we can bring in a little bit more creativity in this team, or if Ceballos can probably just up his game a little bit as well, I think that there will be more chances because I think they'll feed off each other very well. I think Oba and Laka will feed off each other very well because they have a good chemistry on and off the field. I think that they haven't really done that because they've played a lot more with Oba coming from the wings. I think if they just play closer to each other in the 3-5-2 formation, which is what they kind of tried in this game as well yesterday, at least for the first 50-60 minutes, and then they just try to like spread out a little bit. That's when they kind of got found wanting. But I think that there's more capability. There's more to come from these two if they can play up front for together, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, some good points there. And now just I think we finished the 11, just rounding up the subs. First, Pepe for Saka. So Pepe's rating.
Yeah, I think Pepe. I think he's a very talented guy. I think he's very inconsistent, and I think he's had a season now in the Premier League. I think that gelling thing is no more excuse for him. He has to really step it up. He needs to get a little bit more zeal in his playing. I think. He loses the ball way too often. I think he needs to keep the ball a little bit better. He has some very good moments, but he has some very poor moments as well. So I think it kind of evens out. So if he needs to become better, he needs to definitely become better than what he's been doing lately. I think he had an okay game. I think not much to talk about. 5 and 10. I'm being very critical.
He has a lot of potential. You could see that from his price tag, and he's played some. You can see he has quality, but the fact that he's not starting, that must be a big issue as well. Like it could hinder the confidence as well, right?
And there is a lot of inconsistency over there. Like he's just been found wanting a lot. I mean, he has some beautiful moments where he just has some slick passes and he just is able to run past players very well. But I think he loses the ball way too often to be able to give him that continuous starting spot. I think Arteta expects more from him, and I think Arteta will be a good man to kind of coach him into understanding that aspect because he's made Sterling a lot better from his Man City days. Sterling was struggling as well. We can see Sterling is relatively a world beater now, so I'm hoping that kind of coaching and that kind of impact will come out in Pepe. I think as the season goes on, I'm just waiting for something like that to really show up. It'll be fun to see that.
Yeah, and lastly, the game changer, Mustafi for Luis.
Man, I know he's coming back from an injury, but that was so bad. There's a video that was going on social media. I don't know if you guys saw it. Gabriel kept calling him to come back, and he just wouldn't come back. He was just strolling around the park like he's gone to walk his dog or something. It was so I was so pissed off. I didn't notice that in the game, but like right after, like a couple hours after the game, I just saw this video, and I was like, and Gabriel kept shouting. He's like, please come back to your position and stuff like that, and he wouldn't come back. I just didn't make sense. And I mean, Vardy, you give Vardy a half a chance, and that guy is an absolute beast, man. He will finish it off for you. Like you give him, and you gave him an open goal. I mean, he's not gonna miss that for
Yeah, that was
nothing.
shocking,
I mean,
man.
just like it was terrible. I was
And the
just
thing
so
is, like,
upset.
he's coming from injury, but I heard also like a few people saying that like he's played against Vardy before. He knows what to expect. So for that to happen, you can't really.
Yeah, I just don't know what was going
It's
on. I
not
mean,
like
it's
it's
not
his
like him.
debut or anything like that, right?
Yeah,
Like so.
it was just Mustafi is like he needs to be coached well, and I've seen him improve significantly what he was under Emery. He's been he's a lot better under Arteta, but he'll give you these moments that really frustrate you. And I just like I saw that, and I just like put my head in my hand, and I'm like, bro, you cost us the game. And these are the kind of points that will come back to bite us. Yes, it would have been a 0-0 game. That would have been fine. We would have probably got on a point, but these kind of points are something that you kind of have to take.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially when the other teams are dropping. I think this was Arsenal's
yeah.
golden opportunity.
Yeah, and we should have won, at least drawn, and the loss really was a hard one to take for me. This one, I mean, we'll come out of it. I think it's just one of those ones that's like a little bit of a difficult pill to swallow. It was just a hard one to take for me. But yeah, I think in terms, I'm going to be very critical of him. I'm going to give him a 4.
Four
I think
for
he cost us the game per se. So
yeah,
him and Lacazette, I think Lacazette in terms of his not being able to finish, and him kind of just making a very, very glaring error, kind of really cost us the game. So.
yeah, with that 4 for Mustafi, we wrapped up the Arsenal player ratings. Thanks, on that was brilliant. Stay with us as I move to Zoe.
I don't know if I want to stay with you guys anymore, man. I'm just not ready for this.
No, we'd love to have you, but it'll be more fun that way. But Zoe, let's start with your boy Peter's son Kasper Schmeichel in goal.
Casper, bro. Casper was solid. Casper was actually, for me, the best player of the game, at least for Leicester. He did pretty well, organizing his backline. He's always been good at that. He's got a commanding presence in the goal as well.
And the Bellerin save was good as well.
That Bellerin save was definitely the highlight. He made 4 saves. Some of them were routine, but, definitely showed his class for that Bellerin save. For me, I gave him an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 for Schmeichel. And then moving on to the defense of Fofana.
So for Wesley Fofana, bro, it's like him and Christian Fuchs kind of had to deal with the same issue where the wing backs ahead of them. So in the case of Fofana, it was Timothy Castan, and in the case of Fuchs, it was James Justin. Yeah. These guys kept on getting skinned by Arsenal's front. So basically, they were getting skinned by the combination of Oba and Bellerin on one side and Saka and Tierney on the other. So it put a lot of pressure onto the center backs. But I think that Fofana dealt with it well. He had to constantly clean up after Castan, but made a number of its interceptions. Also, a good option for passing out from the back. He played a couple of solid long balls out, which really give Leicester a different dimension, especially when they're playing with pace. It definitely helps when you have someone like Vardy playing full time. I mean, right now he made a cameo, but yeah, I thought Fofana was pretty decent. The yellow card hurt him a little bit, but I've got him at 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, fair enough. He looked good on the ball as well, so I think that's a good, fair enough. And then moving on to Johnny Evans.
So Johnny Evans, man, he showed everything from his game. He showed the good and the bad. I thought there was some beautiful, some beautiful nice long range passing from him. Didn't always come off, but that ball that got played on to James Justin for the first one, that Leno cleared to Maddison, was a beautiful ball if that came off. Other than that tackle that he got on Bellerin, sliding back.
Yeah, that was goal-saving, man.
Absolutely beautiful. But then again, he got caught out of position a few times, and nothing was more egregious than getting caught out of position for that Laka chance. It's just, I'm sure he's thanking his lucky stars that Laka can't finish to save his life. So, like I said, a lot of good stuff and some stuff that worked against him. I have him at a 7 out of 10 as well.
7 out of 10. Don, he's an ex-United player, by the way.
I know.
Yeah. And then moving on to Christian Fuchs.
So out of the back three, Fuchs was my top guy. I thought that he, probably had the best game out of the back three. He was constantly plugging the gaps that were left by James Justin, having to clear up after him. Cleared the ball 6 times, 2 interceptions, really doing the dirty work and, dealing well with a pretty solid attacking threat. Like once you think about it, if they're getting past James Justin, now you have 2 quick players running directly at him and he's dealing with it well. I thought he had a good game. I gave him a 7.5.
7.5 for Fuchs. I think, that's fair enough. And then Castan.
So for me, like I said, I already talked about like Castan and James Justin, being suspect defensively. I thought Castan got beat way too easily. He got skinned a few times, couldn't really protect the center back, but he also, provided a good option going forward. So that's kind of, I guess, where it balances out. When he got forward, he created chances. He was giving the Arsenal defense some things to think about. He's got a number of different passing options to his game. But again, at the end of the day, like, the defensive contribution was lacking, and I got to take marks off for that. I'm at a 6.5 out of 10.
6.5. And do you think when Vardy starts, when he's fully fit, he could go forward a bit more, Kashtan?
I think that when Vardy starts, Leicester are much more attacking and much more threatening than they are with someone like Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes is decent, but Vardy's a different level, and that sort of ability, that direct ability that he brings into the game, that direct dimension. People like Castano playing as a wing back would definitely benefit from that. He can put a ball in, so he'd definitely benefit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And then moving on to Mendy.
Oh, Mendy's like clockwork, man. He's so good. He just does the little
really
things
hardworking.
Really hardworking, bro. Just does the little things right, keeps the ball moving, simple passes. He has the ability to play something, more audacious, but he's just got really good sort of, football IQ. He's always sort of taking a look around to see what's going on, trying to make the right decision as much as possible. I mean, he was a force in the midfield as well. He is a combative, you can say in some cases he's a defensive midfielder. He won the majority of his duels, recovered the ball a bunch of times as well, really allowing Leicester to kickstart their breaks. But again, he did get beat a few times. He was dispossessed a few times. I thought that in terms of how he is as a player, he lost the ball more times than I would have liked. And that allowed Arsenal to create a lot of breaks, especially, just breaking through that midfield, giving them a direct, run at Leicester's back three. So I have him at a 7 out of 10 for today.
7 out of 10 for Mendy. And then moving on to Tielemans, he started that move for the winning goal. Your thoughts on his performance?
Man, Tielemans is a really, really, really good player. He's honestly, like, Leicester found the gem in this guy. He's got a little bit of everything. He's got that, that steal in him. So he gives you that defensive ability, that defensive bite. But at the same time, he can play a good ball forward. He's good in possession. He's calm on the ball. And today, honestly, like, he showed a lot of that, a number of tackles to break up play from the Arsenal team when they were going forward, recovering the ball and getting the, the break started. And like you said, started the move that got Leicester their winning goal. I have him at a 7.5.
7.5 for Tielemans. And then moving on to James Justin.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I thought Justin was pretty poor. Didn't really give much going forward, which, as a wing back, if you're not going to defend well, at least give something going forward. Lost the ball a bunch of times, poor passing accuracy. And again, same thing, same issue as Castan, just kept on getting beat by, in this case, Beller and Oba, which, there's no shame in getting skinned a few times by those guys, but still, you got to do better. And I thought that he really, he got bailed out by Fuchs too many times. So I have him at a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Fuchs bailed him out quite a bit in that game. And then moving on to Pratt.
Pratt was probably the weakest part of the, if you want to call it like a front, the most forward three players. I thought that he was pretty much anonymous, man. Didn't really get involved in the game. Not much, time on the ball. Didn't really have, much in the way of creating anything. He was also the first to get yanked. So he went off in the 60th minute. I thought that he was, like I said, just anonymous. So I have him at a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. And then moving on to Maddison.
So James Maddison, man, interesting game for this guy. Like, I thought that he's coming back from injury. So he definitely showed some of that rust. That free kick was atrocious. And, he was just a half touch slow. But at the same time, he played a lot of nice through balls. He showed, why he is who he is and why he's rated.
They really missed him last season.
They really did miss him. And I think as he comes back into it, he's gonna show more and more why he's crucial. Maybe this might be a bit generous, but I had him at a 7.
A 7 for Maddison. And then moving on to Barnes.
So Harvey Barnes for me was, if you're going to be that focal point, if you're going to be the tip of the spear, and you got to replace Vardy when he's out, this was a pretty poor audition. I thought he plays better when he is playing with Jamie Vardy, and I think it's the threat of Vardy that creates opportunities for someone like Barnes. He didn't do much with the ball. He didn't have any shots. And if you're the furthest forward, come on, man, you got to have something. Again, Arsenal did a really good job in the first half, stifling Leicester and not allowing them to get onto the ball. It really was, against the run of play that Leicester scored, if you want to consider it like a change in momentum. But yeah, Barnes was poor today. He didn't really offer much in the way of link-up play either. So I have him at a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, he didn't have that hustle that Vardy provided off the ball as well. Those runs into the box
That's
and
it, you
everything.
know.
Yeah.
He's a different type of player, but yeah, I thought that he could have done a lot better, even given, what his limitations are or how he goes about his game.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then I think that wraps up the 11. We'll move on to the substitutes. Under for Barnes. So under's performance.
So Chengiz Under, man, like he didn't have much time on the pitch. I think he just had like a 15-minute cameo, but I thought he was great, man. Good runs. Um, you know, Again, very short amount of time on the pitch, but his passing was delightful. Just keeping the thing going, creating pressure in Arsenal's final third, and that's what I really think helped with the momentum change. Him and Vardy coming on, that combination just gave
Yeah.
Leicester a completely different dimension that Arsenal frankly weren't ready for.
Had
Maybe
many more chances when they both came on.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that ball, that little, the cross to set up Vardy was beautiful, man. He just set him up on a plate, and it was the right play. That was the most beautiful thing. It's like he had the presence of mind to know that Vardy was running and Vardy was in space. So he could have taken the shot on from where he was. It wouldn't have been a bad shot, but he made the right play, and man, did he set it up right. For me, I have him at a 7 out of 10 just because he wasn't on the pitch for very long.
Fair enough, a 7 out of 10. And then the man of the match, the man of the moment, cameo, but the most important cameo, Jamie Vardy, always having a party.
Jamie Vardy, bro, chat shit, get banged. Bro, this guy, man, like he's 33 now?
Yeah, I think around that age, yes.
The pace is still, it's scintillating, man.
But Thomas Partey was supposed to stop him.
I mean,
Bro,
I don't know if you
being very honest.
Listen, if you saw Thomas Partey's Arsenal initiation, he seems like a pretty conservative guy. Doesn't seem much of the partying type, if you will. But listen, no, honestly, Vardy, like I said, as soon as he comes on, Leicester looks different. They look much more direct, much more threatening. His pace just gives, defenders fits. And honestly, Arsenal should use it as a blueprint. You have someone like that in your team in Oba. So use him, take advantage of that pace, let him run directly at defenders and create panic, create, all sorts of commotion. But I don't know. I don't know when that's going to happen, if that's the right option. But yeah, Vardy was great, man. Again, it would have been nice to see him playing for longer, but for the 30 minutes that he was on, he was good. I don't know. I can't really give him that high a score just because he wasn't there for that long. But I don't know, man. Like a 7.5. What do you guys think?
I would give him a 10, but yes, I think it's fair. 7.5. I give him 10 because he scored the match winner. But yeah, because of the amount of time he played, maybe 8. But yeah, I'd agree with you. 7.5.
7.5. Let's go with 7.5.
But Don, I just want to ask you on that point. Like me, when I was watching the game, I just felt like that as long as Leicester didn't concede until Vardy comes on, they always had a chance. So, like as an Arsenal fan, you probably wanted Arsenal to finish it off before he came, at least score a goal, because that threat was going to loom when he came in. And before that, they didn't have any chances.
Yeah, I kind of texted one of my boys as well. As soon as the halftime was done and we had such a solid half and we didn't finish, I just had a feeling that would come back to bite us, because it was just such a great performance, and we really should have scored at least 1, maybe 2 in that first half to really put the game to bed. It's in some ways, because that Vardy threat, man. I mean, whenever he's not playing Arsenal, I really like to watch him play because he's so direct. He's so he's just always that threat that you want, like your premier striker to have. That's exactly what he is.
He's such a no-nonsense striker. It's just pace and power. Yeah. He doesn't really do this, dilly-dallying and these little moves, no, he's just pace.
And to maintain that pace at this age is remarkable, because as you get older, pace does decrease. But pace
is the first thing to go, man. It's one of the first things to go.
And
he's just like a proper old school striker, and that's kind of that's the kind of extra dimension that he brings to this decent.
And he wasn't even fully
so,
fit. Like that was like crazy. Yeah.
And the only good thing that came out of that game of that goal was at least I got some fantasy points.
So, bro, don't you feel shame? You're so shameless. You root against your team.
You gotta take the small victories, bro.
Yeah, and I think that, like Zoe, you rounded it off brilliantly. The ratings were spot on. Just to ask you guys, were your predictions right? At least the result. Don, I think no, but yeah. yeah, I think you predicted Arsenal win. You said how much? Do you remember?
I think I said 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. Zoe?
I know I got the result right.
Yeah, you got the result right. You did say Leicester is gonna win.
Yeah, I don't know what I predicted for the score.
And this just opens up the league, right? Because like if Arsenal won this, you could say they're competing because
I said
everyone.
3-1 Arsenal. I just checked my notes.
What did I say? Do you guys remember, man?
I think
No,
you
but
said 2-1. You said 2-1 Leicester. That's what I think you said.
Yeah, and like with Vardy not starting, I think Arsenal did miss an opportunity, but it just blows this league wide open. Like everyone dropping points left, right, and center. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Any final thoughts?
I did pretty well in terms of my results, though. In the other games, I expected a United Chelsea draw. I expected a Brighton Fulham. I think Brighton
and most importantly, Leeds Aston Villa. What did you think? What did you predict?
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that next prediction.
You got that right as well, right?
I got that right. I expected Leeds to victory, and a Leeds victory happened. So whoever is watching this right now,
Bamford.
Bamford hat trick, bro, hat trick.
Yeah, some good fantasy points there as well. So, your final thoughts?
I don't know, man. How did I do with my picks? I feel like I got some right, but then I also really missed the mark with some of them. Lisa, get down. Yeah, I don't know, man. I really need you to keep because I gotta stop throwing away these notes that I made.
Yeah. I know we'll make a proper table. We always say that, but this next week we'll do it. But yeah, I think that sums it up. Any shocking results for you guys this week?
I expected more goals in the Chelsea United game. Honestly, a 0-0 draw was one of my least expected games. I mean, I called out a high-scoring draw. It turned out to be a goalless draw. So that
very
was
rare for this season.
Bro, you had a PE teacher playing a geography teacher. Get out of here. But honestly, I think the highlight of the week was Patrice's segment on that. I think that was the highlight of the week. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out.
The one with Hasselbank?
Yes. By the way, Jimmy Hasselbank is weird.
That was a lot of fun. That banter, I really enjoyed that. I was watching that segment. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums up the player ratings for today. Thank you so much for joining me. And stay tuned. This week is going to be a big week. Tune in for our predictions. It's going to be United versus Arsenal next week. So tune in for that episode. It's going to be a lot of fun, man.
I cannot wait.
Make sure you guys come pumped up, prepared, huh? So done.
Oh man,
Let's
always.
Go.
Who's this guy? This guy's no one.
I'll catch you guys, man. Thank you so much once again. Have a good night.
Take it easy, man.